I'd also like to thank our guest from earlier this hour, Professor David Johnson is a political scientist at Cape Breton University. His book is called Battle Royale, Monarchists versus Republicans in the Crown of Canada. So again, we did a book giveaway about pollinators. We're going to leave you now with I'm not even going to say who it is. Do you know who it is, Paul? Do you know what this is? Oh, this is Rimsky-Korsakov's Flight of the Bumblebee. If you want to listen again, yes. If you want to listen again, go to the CBC Listen app. Send us an email with story ideas. Ontario Today at cbc.ca. Tomorrow, what do Conservative voters think of their new leader? I hope you can join us for that conversation. I'm Amanda Pfeffer. Ontario Today will be back here tomorrow at noon.
Kazoo, Tegan and Sarah on the Triangle. The Canadian Music Class Challenge is back. Hi, I'm Grant Lawrence. Pick a song from our list, create your own cover version, and upload your video. Amazing prizes are up for grabs, including thousands of dollars worth of new musical instruments for your class. The deadline is November 23rd. Register now at cbcmusic.ca/musicclass.
The National Research Council official time signal. The beginning of the long dash indicates exactly 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. This is CBC News. Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock and 23 degrees in Ottawa. I'm Lawrence Wall. Ontario is starting its rollout of Omicron-targeted COVID-19 vaccines. Shots will go first to those considered most vulnerable, including people aged 70 and older, long-term care residents, healthcare workers, and Indigenous people. The CBC's Megan Fitzpatrick has more.
We know the first shipment of these new vaccines arrived in Ontario a few days ago, and then the news this morning about who is eligible and when. So as of 8 a.m. this morning, bookings are available first for Ontario's most vulnerable residents. So that includes those aged 70 and above, residents of long-term care homes and retirement homes and other congregate settings where health care is provided, as well as First Nation, Inuit, and Métis individuals and their household members who are 18 and over, as well as moderately to severely immunocompromised Ontarians who are aged 12 and older, as well as pregnant people who are 18 and over, and then healthcare workers who are 18 and over. For the rest of the general population, for the appointments, you can go ahead and book them today, but you won't be able to get an appointment until after September 26th.
And that was Megan Fitzpatrick reporting from Queen's Park. Groups representing public sector employees in Ontario are going to court this week. They're challenging the Ford government over a law that has capped wages for workers. The groups are challenging the constitutionality of Bill 14. The law was passed in 2019 that limits wage increases to 1% per year for Ontario public sector employees, as well as broader public sector workers, including nurses and teachers. The Tories say it was a time-limited approach to help eliminate the deficit, but critics have said that it has contributed to a severe nursing shortage. The new Conservative leader spoke to the National Caucus this morning. Pierre Poilievre pulled no punches in attacking the Liberal government.
Now, there is one good piece of news. Already my leadership has accomplished one thing, and believe it or not, it was reported on the front page of the Toronto Star. I'm going to quote here. It says, Liberals pledge response to inflation concerns after Pierre Poilievre victory. Wow.
The CBC's Karina Roman watched Poilievre's address and has more.
With his speech, he did two things today. Obviously, it's his first speech to his caucus, but he got right to trying to define himself. The whole thing is not letting your detractors define you and not waiting for the Liberals to say this is who Pierre Poilievre is. He wants to define himself, but he also tried to humanize himself and maybe counter this pit bull, attack dog kind of reputation he has by bringing out his son who just turned 1. They had a birthday cake, blew out the candles. He made jokes about how good his wife's introduction to him was on the weekend, and that in fact some of his party said maybe she should be leader. So really trying to show that he's just a regular guy, a family guy, but he did really hone in on his economic message, which has been consistent through, but he didn't detract from it with other things in this speech. Today it was all about the economy, about how the Liberals and the Prime Minister are out of touch on that, and how that's really hurting Canadians.
And that was Karina Roman in Ottawa. Britain, Australia, and New Zealand have all announced public holidays to mark the death of the Queen. Jacinda Ardern is the Prime Minister of New Zealand.
There will be a national memorial held on Monday, the 26th of September. And as was announced this afternoon, this will be accompanied by a one-off national holiday that same day.
Residents of the United Kingdom will get next Monday off. That's the day of the Queen's funeral. Australia will hold its day on September 22nd. So far, Canada has not announced a national day off to honor the Queen. Now to California. A helicopter hovers over the mosquito fire burning in the Tahoe National Forest, northeast of Sacramento. Is growing rapidly, with emergency crews saying only 10% is actually under control. For news updated through the day and night, stay tuned to CBC Radio 1 and go to our website, cbc.ca/Ottawa. And that was the CBC News. The weather for Ottawa and the region, cloudy today, high of 26. Cloudy tonight, chance of showers, risk of a thunderstorm, low of 18. Right now in Ottawa, mostly cloudy, 23. Kingston, Maniwaki, 22. Cornwall, 23. Pembroke, 21.
The next chapter.
With Sheila Rogers, there are no neat O's.
I had to reread that.
Had we taken his advice, we'd be 66% lower.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy has absolutely, I can't believe that your first guest actually said that his economic strategy is what's going to win him the election. His economic strategy is ludicrous.
Mark, we're going to have to leave it there just because we're running out of time. So there are challenges ahead, I guess, for Poilievre, Eric Grenier says. But as I say, a lot of enthusiasm from supporters. Last word to you. We have about 40 seconds. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, I'll just maybe respond a little bit to Eric. I think likability is always a poor measure of who ultimately wins an election. We've seen very popular leaders. You could go all the way back in the annals to Ed Broadbent, the most likable and most popular leader. 85% of Canadians liked him, never became prime minister. That wasn't the case for Stephen Harper, I assure you, as I'm sure everyone listening knows, yet he was elected 3 times. So I think there's always going to be challenges, but I think he's in a really good position.
Corey Teneycke, I want to thank you very much for being our guest for this hour. Corey Teneycke is a conservative strategist, former director of communications for the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper. And tomorrow we're talking about the Ukraine military offensive. I hope you can join us for that and for that show. Retired General Rick Hillier is our guest. I'm Amanda Pfeffer. We'll be back tomorrow at noon.
I'm Stephon James. And I'm Shamir Anderson, co-founders of the Black Academy. We're excited to be hosting the first ever Legacy Awards on CBC. Come together to empower, elevate, and celebrate the achievements of Black Canadian talent. This is our time to break down barriers, recognize our past, and inspire the future. This is our legacy. Join us for the Legacy Awards. Live September 25th at 8 on CBC, or stream free on CBC Gem.
The National Research Council official time signal. The beginning of the long dash indicates exactly 1 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. CBC News. Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock and 21 degrees with light rain in Ottawa. I'm Lawrence Wall. An RCF transport jet is en route to London carrying the body of the Queen. Her Majesty will lie in state before the funeral on Monday. The CBC's Travis Denrush is in London at the long lineup of mourners waiting to view the Queen's casket.
She will be lying in state as of 5 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, but as you said, the coffin will arrive here in London later this evening and then head to Buckingham Palace. There's a long lineup of international press that are waiting to speak to her. She's kind of become a bit of a celebrity. She has a whole table, basically, of, sweets and things like that to sustain her over what could be a very long wait. They're expecting this queue to go for about 8 kilometers or so, all the way down to the London Bridge. So right across there is Westminster Hall, and that is where the Queen's coffin will be lying in state. I want to talk to Corinne Davies, and you have been waiting for a little while. Tell me a little bit about why you wanted to come. I know that you made a journey for about 3 hours or so to be here and wait in line.
Yes, I just wanted to come and pay my respects to such a great lady.
And that was the CBC's Travis Denrush reporting from London. The Prime Minister has just announced that Monday will be a national holiday to coincide with the Queen's funeral. Justin Trudeau made the announcement a short time ago at the Liberal caucus retreat in St. Andrews, New Brunswick.
We have also chosen to move forward with a federal holiday on Monday. We will be working with the provinces and the territories to try and see that we're aligned on this. There are still a few details to be worked out.
The CBC's Janice McGregor has more on that and other announcements by the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister said they're in conversations with provinces and territories about exactly how a potential holiday on Monday would work. It sounds like if you are a federal employee or perhaps in a federally regulated industry, again, we don't have details yet, it will be a holiday to mark the occasion of Queen Elizabeth's funeral. However, if you are private sector, if you are in kind of more that provincial jurisdiction, stat holiday world, it's not clear yet whether that's going to match. I think that's what these consultations will be about. Will kids stay in school? Those sorts of things. Doesn't seem like that's all worked out yet, so watch this space. Some other news for those concerned about the floods in Pakistan. $25 million going from the federal government, matching funds now available if you are donating through the Red Cross to that crisis, something we haven't had a lot of chance to talk about but remains an urgent concern. Looks like there's some relief coming for people who have been hit hard by fertilizer tariffs. This is something that's huge news in the farm community, particularly in Eastern Canada. Big hint from the Prime Minister. They're going to provide some relief there, something that was making it very difficult to be cost competitive with this fall's crops.
And that was Janice McGregor in Ottawa. In other news, a massive investigation is underway in the Toronto area after yesterday's shooting rampage that killed 2 people and wounded 3 others. The dead included a veteran Toronto police officer who was shot in Mississauga. Chief Nishan Daripa is with Peel Regional Police.
Look,
He describes
are you hungry?
how it all began.
Would you like something to eat? Maybe a sandwich?
Yes, please.
Peanut butter sandwich?
Yes, please.
Okay. I like a peanut butter and cheese sandwich. Would you like that?
I just like peanut butter, thank you.
An ambush attack. Now, you can have it on a croissant or you want to have it on a regular bread?
I like having it on regular bread.
Gunshot injuries. The gunman then traveled from Mississauga to Milton. He allegedly shot 3 more people, killing 1 of them. The suspect then went to Hamilton, where he was killed during a face-off with police. Here's Toronto Police Chief James Raymer.
It is with a profound sadness that I announce the death of Toronto Police Service Constable Andrew Hong of Traffic Services. Constable Hong was 48 years of age and is a 22-year veteran of the service.
Ontario's police watchdog is now looking into the death of the suspect, identified as 30-year-old Sean Petrie. For news updated through the day and night, stay tuned to CBC Radio 1 and go to our website, cbc.ca/Ottawa. And that was the CBC News. The weather for Ottawa and the region, the rainfall warning continues. Showers at times heavy today with risk of a thunderstorm, the high of 21. Right now in Ottawa, light rain 21, Kingston 19, Cornwall 20, Pembroke 21, Maniwaki 22. This is Radio 1.
Through the Denver chapter and the demise chapter.